Congratulations, Mr. Olding.
I'm a dad. I'll teach him how to kick a ball. He'll be the next Strensky. What if he doesn't like rugby? What if he likes the clarinet? Or he starts painting his nails, or worse, he forms a Spice Girls tribute band?
Mr. Olding, your son, would you like to hold him?
Life changes, so why not get the first ever life insurance that changes as your life does? Love change. Go to brightrock.co.za or speak to your financial advisor. Brightrock is a registered financial services provider underwritten by Lombard Life Limited.
I'm phoning with regards to an ad from Brightrock, where the father has a new baby and he just hopes he'll never be able to play the clarinet or paint his nails. Now, for me, that's very bad, because that's discriminatory. And I think we're quite sensitive to this, because we have a son that's been bullied at school, and he's a brilliant musician, a brilliant clarinet player, funny enough. What's wrong with somebody who has got an amazing music ability and is academically very good and is good at sport?
Suddenly my phone starts ringing off the hook. Literally, as one call's coming in, there's another call waiting. And I take one of the calls, which happens to be from one of the people who works in the Brightrock space, saying, Suzanne, we are on radio. I rush off to the nearest landline. I dial into the studio so that I am available for 7:02 to interview. They had already expressed an interest in speaking to someone from Brightrock. While I'm waiting to go on air, I can hear some of the debate that's unfolding on air. I'm coming in the middle, so it is a little bit tricky because I haven't got the full context, but I can get a feel for the fact that there's a lot of different views around the radio ads.
We took a call. At the time, it was, we all kind of sat back. There was a lot of response from the listeners, and afterwards we sat down and we said, well, obviously there's a concern here. Let's see what happens. Suzanne phones, and suddenly you get the feeling that there's been a lot of energy that's been invested into this idea, and they want to take it further, they want to grow it into something big.
I had no idea that the response would be so strong from the public out there. But what did impress me was, within half an hour, Brightrock came onto the radio, and I have to say that Elmarie, my wife, and myself have been quite elated about the positive approach that Brightrock took to the advert.
But what's really clear to me is that the debate's probably finished. Everyone has had their say, and there's probably very little left to say about the Brightrock ad. And the thought that goes through my mind is this not an opportunity for us to continue the conversation with the consumers that have started engaging with Brightrock?
We pride ourselves, on our ability, and the inherent ability of our product to change as your life changes. And, our communication, our campaign at the moment is around loving change. And I don't think we could have gone to market under that banner and not been able to change with a situation like we were faced with.
Normally you're doing advertising for insurance, which is like plays off fear and scaremongering, and here actually you're going, wow, embrace it. We have a product that changes as your life changes.
The thinking was, at the very, very essence of what Brightrock stands for and how our product works, is this idea of co-creation. Our product allows you to sit with a financial advisor and to very precisely build a life insurance solution or a product that will meet and match your needs exactly and precisely. And if that's what we do as a company, how do we demonstrate that in our response to the debate?
I had never heard of something like this happening before, and certainly not at that speed. To have a turnaround of less than a week, to come up with an app, to come up with a concept that was going to play itself over 4 weeks. We were going to involve judges. There was going to be, live updates on air. I'd never heard of that happening before, but I was really glad to be part of it.
I haven't seen anything like this in South Africa. I think the concept of co-creation and seeking advice from consumers is something that's reasonably well established, and you see it in big case studies like Old Spice and those kind of things. But in financial services, I haven't seen it, and in South Africa, I haven't seen it. So I think it's quite a groundbreaking initiative.
We had to produce call to action adverts. We had to buy extra media time. We had to put some sort of competition format together, which hadn't been done before. So in terms of, if we take success out of it, if we take end result out of it, in terms of the logistics of it, it was an absolute It's been a triumph.
The second phase of the competition will be for the judges then to take all the submissions, to select the top 10 scripts, and then we're going to ask all listeners to vote. That way, even if someone feels they're not really a writer, that's a skill set that they don't really have or that they're not excited to try and explore, but they can still have an opinion. So even if you aren't a writer, you do have a say. And that way we get lots more people to engage with the campaign, and they're able to influence the judge's decision on which one of those top 10 scripts will be the winner. We promoted on 702 on Jenny Chris Williams' show with live reads where she encourages people to enter. It gets profiled when Andy Rice and Jenny Chris Williams talk on the ad feature. And again, they tell people what's happening and they encourage people to submit scripts. And on top of that, Brightrock invests in a couple of generic 30-second adverts that are flighted on 702 in other time slots to encourage script submission, as well as some ads that take place on the Facebook platform.
A friend of mine sent a link from the ad, basically, and said, give it a go, you know, are you interested? And yeah, I thought it looked like a fun, novel approach, and thought I'd give it a go. I think as a company, it shows that the company is thinking out the box and is actually genuinely interested in what the public thinks.
The winning script was fantastic in that way because it was a human insight you could relate to, and everyone had gone down one angle, and here this writer had actually understood to go, well, hang on, what about the father fearing for when he changes?
And then the final winner, well, the prize that they get is that they actually do come into studio. They come and make the ad they wrote. So the prize at the end is that you get to see the script that you've crafted, made and produced, and you'll get to hear it on air when we flight it after it's made.
It's been such a fun day. I've really had a great time. It's been such an education. It's been really interesting seeing how the nuts and bolts work.
At the end of the Brightrock You Change Our Ad initiative, I feel really excited about what we've been able to achieve. Firstly, in terms of the exposure on 702, the continuous presence that we've had over a 4-week period on air, we've had a tremendous amount of exposure and debate and sort of editorial coverage. And all that editorial coverage has centered around some of the core concepts that are really intrinsically true about who we are as a company and as a business.
Kudos to Brightrock, and I hope that they get a lot of success out of this new ad. Hopefully it's going to be a more successful ad and actually elicit more business than what the previous one would.
Congratulations, Mr. Olding.
I'm a dad. I'll be his hero. The ultimate dad. Cool dad. Super dad. Ultra dad! What if I turn into one of those dads? What if I get a receding hairline or I have a midlife crisis?
Mr. Olding, your son. Would you like to hold him?
Life changes, so why not get the first ever life insurance that changes as your life does? Love change. Go to brightrock.co.za or speak to your financial advisor. Brightrock, underwritten by Lombard Life, is an authorized financial services provider.